So I know we were talking a minute ago, Dr. Ng-Glazier, about the implants that are inside of me, and I'm wanting the audience to kind of have an idea of what size implant I actually got.
Sure.
And what the different varieties and options are. So if we could go through the process of how we chose the size for me and all of that, please.
Absolutely. So what most individuals or most plastic reconstructive surgeons would recommend is using a silicone implant as opposed to a saline implant, which is filled with salt water. And so a silicone implant, you're looking at an example or a few examples. Again, this basically is a prosthesis that has a silicone gel shell, and on the inside is a cohesive polymer as well. And so what that means is that if I were to cut this, the silicone doesn't leak out like a liquid, it stays as a gel. And so this is a smooth, round silicone implant. This is not the size that was in
I
here.
have a question. So if something happens, like I get in a car wreck or something, and this gets punctured, what you're saying is it will primarily stay in place because of the design and not flood my bodies.
Correct.
Okay.
Which is one of the biggest concerns of silicone implants, or certainly was in the 80s and 90s.
Okay, so that's a technique, that's an evolution in the process.
Correct.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Is this the size that I have in me?
It
doesn't feel that.
No, that is not the case.
Small.
Yep, and this is about 335 cc's. So I know one of the other things we talked about sizes is, unfortunately, the clothing industry dictates size based on cup sizes. And as you learn, or most people soon learn, is that a cup size in one clothing brand is different than the same cup size in a different clothing brand. So one of the biggest things to wrap your head around is, I can't promise you a cup size. You can tell me, what you are now, what you envision, but we just sort of throw that all away because we go by volume or
because you might
CCs.
be a size 8 pants in Levi and a size 4 in Calvin Klein.
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
You got it. So same thing with cup sizes and bras. So, but yes, this is about 300 cc's, and this is smaller than what we did put in you, which was closer to 500 cc's. So
now, when I was lifting that, that's that's not quite a pound of weight right there.
This is actually translational perfectly to grams.
The grams, okay.
Yep, absolutely. So this is about 300 grams, which is maybe a little bit, about half a pound,
so
a
each
little
cc
under.
weighs about a gram?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, very close. Yep. So a milliliter to milligrams is the conversion. Yeah,
okay,
correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep, and a cc is equivalent to a milliliter. So,
okay.
Yep.
I'm learning science as a science teacher again.
I know. So I'm not very good at the metric system either. So this is a typical sizing cart, and once you make the decision to do an augmentation with a implant, we like to get an idea of what would be too small for you, what would be too large for you, so that we sort of get a comfortable range. And we order a wide variety of sizes that we actually try while you're asleep in surgery. And so in order to better dictate what we order, we actually have you come in a bra, if you remember that.
I do remember that.
Came in a sports bra, and we literally tried on different sizes, starting from, we have very small sizes, which in your case was not going to be ideal, but there are smaller sizes here, and I don't know if you want to grab one.
To help the audience understand, do you have an idea of how many cc's I was before surgery?
Right. So I would say, based on just how much breast tissue or not you had, I would say you had maybe about 200, about 200 cc's or so. This is about 250 cc's of native breast tissue, and that was from years of hormone therapy.
Okay.
And so I believe we wanted to get to a nicely augmented look without a bra.
Right.
And so I remember you tried on different sizes, and we start with a specific size based on your width, or the width of your chest. And then we just literally have you try this on, and you look in front of the mirror, you say, that looks too small, that looks too large. And we say, okay, great. Let's go to the next one. So this is about 350 cc's. And we go ahead and have you slip that in, and you can try both. This usually comes as a pair. Or when you get to a certain size, we say, why don't you do 350 on one side, I don't know if you remember this, 250 on this side and say, you know, which one you like better. And then for you, I think we went all the way up to 500. So this is 450. So I think for you, we settled between a 450 and a 550.
Okay.
And I think for you, when we did the 650, which is one of the largest silicone implants that we can get in the United States, this was too large for you.
Yes.
And so we knew 650 was out of the question. And I agreed with you. You were very reasonable.
Okay.
So I think that you definitely chose these sizes. And then we were able to order that range.
Okay. So was it 250 plus 240 to get to the 490, or like my breast tissue that I already had is still there?
Correct.
Like, so it's in addition to that.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
You got it. Yeah. And so this just gives me a good sense of what, where we would potentially be, or what's a good size range.
And this is the actual shape of the implant that is inside of me and everything?
No, these are sizers. And
oh,
so,
that's right. Sizers,
yeah, no problem. So the actual shape was a smooth, round silicone implant. It was
so
like
this
You got it.
Here.
Yep.
Okay.
The reason we choose smooth is that implants can potentially flip in the body. And so smooth implants, no matter how they're positioned in your body, will always sort of still have that teardrop shape.
Okay.
And so that is why we choose this type of implant. There are anatomically shaped implants, which would look more like that.
More like that. Okay.
They're a little bit firmer because they're purposefully designed to hold a shape. And we basically, or, you know, the industry realized that unfortunately, if a shaped implant flipped, it would definitely take on an unappealing appearance.
Right.
So
is that common, this flipper speak? I'm assuming it's when we as a patient make a mistake and go play disc golf when we're not supposed to or something like that, that it would happen.
I would say that's the most common reason.
Gotcha.
It's not very common, and if you use a smooth round implant, even if it happens, one wouldn't necessarily know. And so I think this is basically one of the better shapes to use these days.
And I think for me, one of the things, because we did go larger, there was stretching, and I was numb for a while. And now I do have my sensitivities back, but for a while I lost feeling in my breast. I'm assuming that's a common side effect until all of the healing takes place?
Absolutely. One thing I tell all my patients is expect to feel numb. Unfortunately, because we're manipulating the chest tissue, there are nerves in that area that they get stunned, they get a little bit bruised, they get affected by swelling. And so the way that nerves manifest a little bit of damage is numbness. And so I do tell my patients to expect a little bit of numbness. Fortunately, or normally it does come back. We're not actually cutting nerves, but they will get a little bit irritated while you're healing. So that's unfortunately a normal response, but normally it does come back.
Yeah. And is there like let's say if it doesn't come back, like mine has come back, is there a time when a person has to say, okay, I've not got feeling back, and can anything be done for that, or is that just part of the process at that point?
Well, we certainly educate individuals that it's potentially an issue
you
where
were very upfront with me with all of the not obstacles, but all of the potential
complications.
Yes,
right. And so we do make sure that patients know that. That usually helps. There are certain institutions that are trialing something that we call neurotization, meaning that they are attempting to improve that initial or potential loss of numbness.
Okay.
And we're not going to go into the details of that, but they do try to help put some nerves in the area so that you don't feel as numb afterward. And I think it's more of an issue with masculinization procedures
I can see that,
as opposed to feminization.
Okay.
Yes.
But this has been absolutely fascinating. I know I went through this with you once before when I was here, but that time I was hearing it the first time. And I remember you gave me reading that I have. Here's some reading that you should do.
Information
There was a
this procedure.
barcode about that. I scanned a barcode
About implants.
about the implants themselves. So the information was there, and it was you helping me to take control of my decision making by here's the information for you to go decide what you should do.
Right.
And then we worked together. But the information, I'm assuming that the rules are changing because it did feel like you were trying to at times, and I'm going to go ahead and say, like you're trying to talk us out of it a little bit at times because of the new requirements.
Right.
And I appreciated you, like, I don't want to say trying to talk us out of it completely, but you wanted us to know these are the things that I have to tell you.
Right. Right.
And it was delivered professionally. It did not impact my decision one way or another, other than I had to think about these possible things and do the research. I was very thorough. I didn't just rush into this. Like I met you and the surgery wasn't the next day or the next week. There was a long process of months that we had to go through to make this happen. And that pacing of it helped me to be ready for when I recovered from the surgery because I have a different body now than I did have, and I had to be ready for that. And I was. And every time I look at myself in a mirror now, I just get a big smile on my face because I'm like, there she is. That's Kelly Jenkins right there. And you helped that happen, so thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah, and that's the goal, is to be able to help individuals transform in a positive way. And that's really, that was always a desire, and I think most plastic reconstructive surgeons, regardless if it's gender affirming or non-gender affirming surgery, really the whole goal is to help patients achieve their more authentic selves, basically. So
you've done it with me.
Thank you so much. You're very welcome.
And I appreciate this episode. I am really looking forward to living my life with this gift that you have given me. And I hope that other people, when they come to you, they take their time, they make informed decisions. And I promise them that as long as they follow those steps, they will not be misled by you.
Right. Hopefully not the case.
Not the case. It won't be. You're too professional at this for that to ever happen. But thank you so much
You're very
for this,
welcome.
Dr. Ng-Glazier.
Yep. You're very welcome.